Okay, guys. So for today, I do want to give you a sneak peek of the writing portion that you're doing tomorrow for the CUA. So that way you have a stronger understanding of the writing prompts and what it's actually asking you. Because it is a little bit different than what we've been doing. So tomorrow, when you, if you're here or if you're online, what you're going to do tomorrow is you're actually going to go to Wednesday, December 2nd. And there's the CUA Writing. You'll click it, and there's all the information that you need. There is going to be an editable Word document attached that you can go ahead and just open. And this time you can actually just type into it, okay? So if you have any questions about that tomorrow, just let me know. But again, we're going to go through the prompts today to make sure you have a good understanding of what it's asking you. So it is a good idea to pay attention, which most of you do. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break down the prompts to help you get a better understanding of what is being asked. Now, for the examples, I'm going to be using the things they carried and the sorrow of war. But in reality, you're not going to use those texts. You're going to use the text from the CUA. So again, do not write about the things they carried in the sorrow of war. You're going to be writing about the text that they gave you, okay? So, and I'm pretty sure I will receive at least one essay that's talking about that. So this is what it's going to look like. I know it's really small right now, but I'm going to show you in more in depth. You get two options like before, option A and option B. Okay, so you'll be able to choose which one you want to do. Okay. I'm going to make that bigger. That's kind of small, huh? That's so small, right? It doesn't look like that. Okay. Huh?
On my screen, it's literally microscopic.
It's microscopic on yours too?
Yes.
Why is it like that? Okay. No, see you wait. No, I'm just kidding. I wish I could say that.
I'm like your favorite kid. I don't have to take it right.
That's hilarious. I'm hurting.
All right, so let's see if we can look at it through here. Okay. All right. So option A is talking about universal themes. So what does universal mean?
Everything.
Everything. And a theme, we know what that is. But actually, it gives you the definition that it's looking for. So a universal theme is an idea that applies to anyone regardless of cultural differences or geographic location. It is the central idea of the human condition. Human condition just means how we live, okay? It is a generalization about life or human nature. It deals with basic human concerns. Although authors do not directly state their views in literature, they share messages, values, beliefs through the stories they tell. And we've been talking about that, right? We talked about themes, okay? And so a universal theme is a theme that you can literally apply to anybody, no matter their race, their culture, age, we all feel it, right? So for this essay, think about two literary selections you have read in this unit. Again, they're going to give it to you, but let's think about it in terms of the things they carry and the sorrow of war. Write a well-developed essay that identifies a shared theme you believe the authors convey through literary selections. How do the authors use characters, events, and literary devices to illustrate the theme? Okay, use evidence from the text to support your analysis. When it says this, that means pull direct quotes from it, okay, to support it. So if we're thinking about the two books that we read, let's first look at characters, right? Well, actually, first let's think about a shared theme. What themes did they share? The two books.
on war, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was about
What about war?
That it sucks.
That war sucks. Okay. So one theme is war sucks. How about it also war has a lasting impact?
Yeah.
Right. So war has a lasting impact, especially on those that are soldiers, right?
Yeah. I was about to say like on people and society, I guess.
Mm-hmm. On people such as soldiers, right? And you can even say on society, right? So let's say we go with this one, right? Let's say this is the one we want to work with. Because in here, we can actually include this one, right? War stuff, okay? So when we think about characters, who are our two main characters, or at least some of the characters for the books? Lieutenant Cross
Taylor.
and Kine, right?
Yeah, Kine. I was trying to remember his name.
Yeah.
But I just kept looking for Kyle.
Yeah, and then there's Kiowa and Sun, right?
Yeah, that. I was gonna say the
What's his name? Sun Tran, I think his name is, right?
Sun Tzu. Nope.
So, how could I use these two characters? Does the authors use these characters to help reinforce this?
Yeah.
How?
With Lieutenant Cross, basically, it's just like the female that he's like in love with, and it like he basically killed off a lot of her soldiers because he's like not paying attention because he's too worried about what's going on outside of the war.
Right.
Well,
So kill soldier, so that leads to regret, right?
Yeah, and then Kiowa, he dies in war like in a very stupid way that could have been prevented.
Okay.
I don't know if Trans Sun is the foil, but I know Kiowa is.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, it would be. He would be because he's totally different to Kine. So
Yeah.
Kiowa and Trans Sun are
So these are foils.
foils.
So these are our protagonists, right? Okay. So you could literally write an essay that talks about the authors use the characters Lieutenant Cross and Kine to demonstrate the universal theme that war has a lasting impact, right? Pretty simple, right? And then my first paragraph would be about Lieutenant Cross, right? And the second paragraph would be about Kine, right? Just kind of like you guys did for the final, not the final, but like the final project, that essay,
Yeah.
where you set it up. That's how you're going to want to set these up, right? But obviously, again, you're not using these books. You're going to use the two texts, okay? Can I say that there's any events
Yeah.
that demonstrate this?
When Kine goes into the forest of souls.
Okay.
The first time or the second time? Because
Um,
both of them were
anytime.
traumatic.
Yeah, anytime. Just go ahead.
Yeah. So let's think about the battles, though, right? So the battles on both of them.
Oh yeah, especially the Kine's battle. That one.
Yeah, that one was pretty
way
crazy,
more
right?
into it.
Yeah. So for Lieutenant Cross, we could say it's when Kiowa dies, right? Because that is a battle, even though they really can't fight back.
Mhm.
And then we have the loss of the battalion, right? Again, what you would do is you would set it up. The authors use the battles within the things they carried in the sorrow of war to demonstrate the universal theme of the war has a lasting impact on people such as soldiers, right? Does that make sense? Can I prove that?
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? Okay. What about if we were going to focus on literary devices? Do they share any common literary devices?
I really just have it.
I have to go back to my project, find these metaphors that I
Yeah,
don't
it's not,
remember.
like I remember
Yeah.
having some.
So there's metaphors. There's all kinds, right? There's metaphors, there's tone, right? There's even the setting. right?
Mhm.
Imagery, diction. And so for these, you'd be more specific, right? You would say utilizes literary devices like tone to demonstrate, bam, right? And then paragraph 1 would be on the first text, and you're gonna pull an example of it. The second paragraph would be from the next text, and you pull an example. Does it make sense? Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
So do you guys have a good idea of exactly what it's asking you?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me take a little picture of this. Nathaniel, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right. So, just so you guys know, a good thesis statement would be, or like if we're looking for a template for the thesis statement for this one, the authors of text A, right, and text B, right, utilize, and you're going to choose one, right, to demonstrate, and then you're going to have your universal theme. Make sense?
So the paragraphs are only about one of the.
Yeah, the way that you'll do it is you're going to do, because in these ones, actually, your introduction can just be this, right? Your thesis, right? Then paragraph 1 is going to be this one, right? Paragraph 2 is going to be about this one. And then you just have a conclusion. And all for the conclusion you have to do is restate this. Right? Not in the same words, but in a similar way. Okay? So instead you could say, you know, the theme, the universal theme of war has a lasting effect, or the authors demonstrate universal theme of blah, 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 when this and this happens, right? You kind of just tie it all together. And then you're done. Okay? So in reality, instead of the 16 sentences you normally have, this one could be 14 sentences total. Because you don't have to do the acknowledgement, and you don't have to do a call to action. Pretty simple, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that confused me on the final project. How am I supposed to do all that action? But
Yeah, that was a little difficult. I
that
was
was her.
I was trying to see what you guys would come up with. Sometimes a call to action is just kind of like a powerful statement of this is what it means, right? So,
And I remember, I think it was like one of the first essays we wrote. It was about like an employer
Mhm.
that you were writing to, and it's like, what am I going to tell them? No, what are you going to do about hiring
I
me?
remember
Yeah.
that. It's
well,
like-
call to action, this is why I'm the best candidate.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, so this is why you need this. Here you go.
Oh, you know what? I think I said something like that too.
Yeah.
I just think it was like kind of weird. What are you going to do about your terrible company? Hire me. That's what you need to do.
Your company sucks. You need somebody good. I'm good.
Exactly. All right. So option B is similar, but instead of universal theme, it's asking you about conflict. So here's the definition it wants you to go by. A conflict in literature is defined as any struggle between two opposing forces. Usually the main character struggles against some other force. This type of conflict is what drives each and every story. Without it, the story would have no point or purpose. One of the main methods that an author uses to express a specific message in a work of fiction is using conflict in a story. A character usually learns an important lesson by going through an experience of conflict. And this conflict can reveal an important message about life. Theme, okay? So it's telling you again to think about the literary sections in the CUA, okay? This time you only need to choose one. You don't have to talk about both, just one, okay? Write a well-developed essay in which you explore the author's use of internal conflict and or external conflict to convey a universal theme in a story. You can also discuss a separate literary element such as setting, irony, symbolism, and discuss its specific relationship to a conflict of the story that allows the author to convey the identified theme. Okay? So again, you're still having to talk about theme, right? But now you have to incorporate it with conflict. So, real quick, a super easy thesis, right? Could be the author of, and remember this one, you just do one, right? Uses, and then character, right? You're going to name the character. Characters. Internal or external conflict to highlight that, and then when you have the theme, okay? Again, you're probably going to want to find a universal theme or just any theme in general, right? So, for example, the author of the things they carry uses Lieutenant Cross's internal conflict to highlight that what themes could we come up with when it comes to Lieutenant Cross?
I'm trying to think for one for when he was having internal conflicts between Kyle was whether he should send a note to his family or not.
Okay, so to highlight that sometimes it can be hard to take responsibility, right? Is that a theme? Absolutely. Is that a universal theme? Absolutely, right? And then what you would do is paragraph A, or paragraph 1, right, would be one example of that. So for Lieutenant Cross, that you could actually talk about when Lavender dies, right? Boom down. At that point, he is trying to take kind of responsibility for it, right? But he's still struggling with the fact that, oh, it's because of me that he died. Then paragraph 2 would be another example. And that could be about Kiowa, right? And then you would just have your conclusion, which is a one sentence where you restate your thesis. Okay, let's think about it with Kine, right? So the author of the Sorrow War uses Kine's, which struggle do we want to choose?
When he sees his whole child.
Okay. External conflict, and even you could be more specific, right? External conflict with war to highlight the theme that war is brutal, right? Or war does not care, right? Those types of things. Can I pull examples? Absolutely, right? Because you want to make sure that you have at least 2 examples to do your thing, okay? Now, it says you can also discuss literary things such as setting, irony, and symbolism, and discuss its relationship to the conflict, right? If I'm going to do that, that's a little bit harder, right? But then now you would say something like, the author of the Sorrow War uses setting to demonstrate Kine's external conflict with war, right? Or you could say the theme. So you see how you'd set that up? Again, these ones are a little bit more, these are harder, right? And actually, if I was you guys, I would just stick to the main question, right? This is the actual main question. Explore the author's use of internal and external, right? This is going to get you a better grade than if you go here. Because to do here, it's more work, and it's not actually truly what this is, right? Because here you can start getting off track and you can start talking about setting more than conflict, right? Because in this one, you technically have to talk about setting, conflict, and the theme. Irony, conflict, and the theme. Symbolism, conflict. You know, so that's more. So I'll stick to this one. Make sense? Does it seem like it's going to be easy?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give you guys, I'm going to go ahead and open Wednesday's folder so that you can at least start reading and kind of getting some ideas. Okay? Does that sound good, Nathaniel?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to go ahead and open. Do not submit anything yet. Okay? Just go ahead and read the texts that are in there. If you need help, you can use the actual Nearpod. There's questions that I kind of ask that might help you kind of hone in on it. Let me show you some of them. Because even though the actual thing is small, the questions themselves are not small. Okay. So let me show you. Let me go ahead and publish this for you guys. Okay. So these are more specific to the things they carry, but these are still questions that you can ask. How did the author use characters to create the universal theme? Who are the characters? Not how, sorry. How did they prove the universal theme? How did the author use events? So you see how I kind of break it down here?
Mhm.
So you can actually use this to help you determine which one you want to write about. Because the one that's easier for you to have examples with, that's the one you want to go with, okay? So use the Nearpod to help you kind of decide, and you guys can even start laying out the type of essay you want to write tomorrow, okay? Any questions?
Is it only one book or one passage?
No, it is.
It's got purple and plain linen. I don't see.
Let's see. It's actually two.
Oh, it's the very last.
Yeah.
It's from the Awakening.
Yes. So Awakening is just one page, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's page 6.
Yeah. Now, some of you might be thinking, ooh, one page, that's all I have to read, and I'll just choose that one and that one thing. But remember, you have to find support. So sometimes it's actually harder to find support from smaller passages than one that gives you more, okay? If you have any questions, let me know.
I just realized